What is going on, guys? It's Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of the Blue Brand, plus the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Brock Lesnar shuts down critics, Roman Reigns' amazing gesture to Keith Lee, WWE working on Cody Rhodes' return, plus much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we won't recap the show, but we'll just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good. Ricochet wins the Intercontinental title. The opening match of Smackdown saw Sami Zayn defend the Intercontinental title against Ricochet. It was reported last week that Vince McMahon sees Ricochet as the number 2 babyface on SmackDown, just behind Drew McIntyre, so it made perfect sense that Ricochet captured the title last night. WWE managed to protect Sami in his loss as he was distracted by his arch-nemesis, Johnny Knoxville, during the closing moments of the match. Sami is now set to meet Knoxville in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, and thankfully, this will no longer be for the Intercontinental title as was originally planned. In relation to WWE's plans for Ricochet at WrestleMania, there are no rumors surrounding him on the WrestleMania card as things stand, but it would be great to see him defend the title on the grandest stage of them all. Ricochet also made history with his victory. He is now the first person in WWE history to win the NXT North American title, the US title, and the Intercontinental title. Pat McAfee's WrestleMania opponent revealed. WWE Chairman Vince McMahon's appearance on Pat McAfee's show was the talk of the wrestling world this week. During this rare public appearance, Vince announced that Pat would be wrestling at WrestleMania against a yet-to-be-named opponent. There were reports that this opponent was going to be Vince himself, but after last night's edition of SmackDown, we know that this isn't going to be the case. During the show, Austin Theory came to the ringside area and slapped Pat's headset off him, then announced that he would be the one facing Pat at WrestleMania. This segment was simple and effective, and judging by the crowd reaction, the fans seemed into the idea of this match taking place at WrestleMania. This is a huge spotlight for Theory, and with Pat having some great WWE matches in the past, this could be a really special encounter in 4 weeks at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns' heel promo. Roman Reigns has been firing on all cylinders as a heel leading into WrestleMania, and last night's SmackDown was no exception. Reigns cut a fantastic promo addressing his WrestleMania opponent, Brock Lesnar, and the crowd were hanging on to every word that the head of the table was saying. Reigns would share a spoiler with fans, and that spoiler was that he was going to smash Lesnar at WrestleMania to unify the WWE and Universal titles. Reigns has come such a long way with his promo work, as there was a time period where he struggled to deliver a promo. Now Reigns is one of the best promo guys on the entire roster. And now for the bad. Charlotte vs. Ronda Rousey build. The main event of last night's SmackDown featured Ronda Rousey stepping into the ring on SmackDown for the first time ever. The 2022 Royal Rumble winner would face Sonya Deville in a brief 3-minute match, which was designed to make Ronda look as strong as possible before her showdown with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Following Ronda's submission victory over Sonya, Ronda would lock in the ankle lock to Charlotte, which made her tap out. The storyline between Ronda and Charlotte still seems rather forced, and it's unclear what their personal issue is. During last night's SmackDown, Charlotte would state that she's never tapped out, and this appears to be the main focus of their WrestleMania encounter. The issue with this is that it's simply not true. Charlotte has tapped out a number of times throughout her career, and it just seems like WWE is trying to do anything they can to make this lackluster WrestleMania program mean something special. 2-minute Naomi match. There has been a lot of criticism surrounding Sasha Banks' booking for WrestleMania. Sasha is set to team up with Naomi to face the women's tag team champions Carmella and Zelina Vega at WrestleMania in 4 weeks, and some fans believe that Sasha should be in the women's title hunt alongside Ronda Rousey. Last night on SmackDown, Naomi faced off against Carmella, and the two women were given just 2 minutes for their match. This felt like something from a 2008 edition of SmackDown, and WWE did a massive disservice to both women by giving them just 120 seconds on the show. And now for the downright ugly. Happy Corbin and Drew McIntyre's underwhelming feud. This week, it was officially announced that Happy Corbin would take on Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. This match announcement has been scolded by fans as it doesn't feel like a WrestleMania match and seems more appropriate for a pay-per-view event such as Fastlane. It looked like at one stage that Drew was going to take on Roman Reigns in one of the main events of this year's WrestleMania, but obviously those plans have changed. The feud is unfortunately filled with poorly executed comedy, and it's clear to absolutely everyone, and likely Drew himself, that the feud is below him. The news: Brock Lesnar shuts down critics. Our top story today takes a look at a recent Brock Lesnar interview where he shut down complaints that he wasn't passionate about WWE. Lesnar recently spoke with Newsday's Alfonso A. Castillo to promote tonight's WWE live event at MSG, and he was asked to set the record straight about whether he is passionate about WWE. Lesnar has attained an unwarranted reputation for not truly caring about WWE and simply caring only about the money. Lesnar answered these criticisms by saying, "I've put on some great matches in my day, and you don't do that without having a passion for the squared circle. I approach my life and fighting and wrestling like this is a job. It's a career. I'm a prize fighter. I get into the octagon or the ring, I do my business, and I do it well, and I get paid for it. And so I'm very passionate about the business. But that was my character. For a long time, I had Paul Heyman speaking on my behalf. I didn't have to participate on the microphone. I was just a demolition man. I think people, if they could see through all of it, would understand that I've had some really great matches in my career with a lot of different people. You don't go to work and put out a product like that if you don't have passion for it." What do you make of the criticisms directed towards Lesnar? Are they justified? Let us know in the comments below. Annual WrestleMania match canceled. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal has been a staple of WrestleMania weekend since 2014. However, according to a new report from the Wrestling Observer, this year's WrestleMania won't feature the annual matchup. Dave Meltzer doesn't go into detail as to why the match has been scrapped, but he states that the match will happen at some point in 2022. The annual Women's Battle Royal is still set to go ahead as planned. As to which night the match will take place, this is still to be determined. Roman Reigns' amazing gesture to Keith Lee. The thrilling final moments of the Raw vs. Smackdown vs. NXT match at Survivor Series in 2019 saw Keith Lee and Roman Reigns battle it out. This was the highlight of the entire pay-per-view, and some say one of the highlights of Lee's entire career. According to Lee, Reigns let Lee call the entire sequence between the two by himself, which was a huge endorsement from WWE's top guy. While appearing on Talk Is Jericho, Lee would state, "Roman left it up to me to call the last bits of me, him, and Seth. Me and Seth had the time, Roman was busy, so we kinda put things together. It was weird, coming from NXT and having to do that, but I also felt honored and kind of trusted by those guys to be able to do that. And I think it was odd for Seth to just have to do the favor for me unexpectedly, but graciously, he did it, and we had a good time doing it." WWE working on Cody Rhodes' return plans. Our final story takes a look at an update relating to Cody Rhodes' WWE return. There were reports that Cody's WWE return may have fizzled out, but that doesn't appear to be the case. According to Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE are actively working on creative plans for Cody for his eventual re-debut. It's still unknown when Cody is going to return to WWE TV. There were rumors that Cody was going to be a big part of WrestleMania, but with the event just a few weeks away, it's questionable as to whether WWE have enough time to build a meaningful storyline for the former AEW star. If Cody does indeed return to WWE in time for WrestleMania 38, who would you like to see him face? Let us know in the comments below. There you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Don't forget to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time, back for some more wrestling content.